The September 28th, 2021 Coralville City Council meeting to order. Roll call.
Present.
Here.
Present.
Excellent. All council members are here. Motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Moved by Goodrich,
Second.
second by Huynh. Any discussion? Roll call. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. I do have several proclamations to make today. The first is today, October 2nd, or coming up on October 2nd, is Ostomy Awareness Day. Whereas an ostomy is a type of surgery that creates an opening in the abdomen that allows for the removal of bodily waste into an ostomy pouch on the outside of the body, or a surgically created internal reservoir when a person has lost the normal function of digestive or urinary systems due to various medical conditions or injuries. And whereas 725,000 to 1 million Americans have an ostomy, which approximately 100,000 new ostomy procedures performed each year. And whereas ostomy and incontinent diversion surgery can occur at any age and does not lower life expectancy. And whereas largely through the efforts of the United Ostomy Associations of America and its over 300 affiliated support groups, Americans needing these surgeries are becoming more aware of the opportunities for education, mutual aid, advocacy, and support that are a great benefit to them and their families. And whereas the City of Coralville is committed to increasing public understanding of ostomy and dispel fear of this surgery, reminding the public this is a life-saving procedure, and supporting public education to ensure those who are living with ostomy face no discrimination and are accepted as normal, healthy individuals. And whereas to increase public acceptance of ostomy surgery and continent diversion surgery, and to help the country better understand that ostomies are lifesavers, Coralville is commemorating the 11th anniversary of Ostomy Awareness Day. Therefore, I, Mitch Gross, Mayor Pro Tem of Coralville, do hereby proclaim October 2nd, 2021 as Ostomy Awareness Day. Ostomies are lifesavers. And I call upon all Coralville residents to unite on this day to show support and shine the positive light on this life-saving surgery. Excellent. Thank you for that. The second proclamation for today is regarding that October is Construction Career Month. Whereas Careers in Construction Month is an annual month designated to help increase public awareness of the opportunities available in construction trade professions. And whereas during this month, employers, associations, and schools are encouraged to conduct job fairs, panel discussions, and local community events to inform students of the vast employment opportunities in construction. And whereas the construction industry is one of our nation's largest industries, employing more than 7.4 million individuals in the United States. And whereas we are pleased to honor the construction trades profession as the critical role they play in the development of our city. And whereas through a collaborative effort that reaches policymakers as well as local educators and high school students, our goal is to effectively address some of the issues that have contributed to chronic labor shortages and misperceptions of careers in construction, to develop a skilled workforce for the future. And whereas the National Association of Home Builders Student Chapters Program is dedicated to enriching the educational experience of students by offering them firsthand exposure to the real world of the building industry through NAHB membership, educational programming, and networking opportunities. Now, therefore, I, Mitch Gross, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Coralville, do hereby designate the month of October 2021 as Careers in Construction Month in the City of Coralville, and I urge all citizens to join me in this special observance. And our last proclamation, afterwards we'll have people speak on behalf of the proclamations. Our last proclamation is designating October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking affects women, children, and men of all racial, cultural, and economic backgrounds, causing long-term physical, psychological, and emotional harm. And whereas 1 in 3 Americans has witnessed an incident of domestic violence, and whereas children who experience domestic violence are at a higher risk for failure in school, mental illness, substance abuse, suicide, and may choose violence as a way to solve problems later in life. And whereas domestic violence in rural communities exists as a hidden, silent, and often unrecognized crime that is often underreported, and whereas through the inspiration, courage, and persistence of victims of domestic violence, their children, and advocates, our communities are learning to recognize the impact of violence in the home and intimate relationships. And whereas the Domestic Violence Intervention Program has worked to end violence in intimate relationships for more than 40 years through the collaborative partnerships of advocates, volunteers, local municipalities, criminal justice, health and human services, faith communities, business leaders, and private citizens. And whereas our community's achievement should be commended, and we must continue our commitment to respect and support victims of domestic violence and to prevent future violence in our community. Now, therefore, I, Mitch Gross, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Coralville, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the city, and I urge all citizens to work together to eliminate domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking from our community. Is there any member of the audience here for the Ostomy proclamation? And please come and grab this. I'll sign this for you. You can say a few words if you like. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just want to say thanks.
Do you mind going to the microphone so we have a huge television audience?
I just want to thank you guys for doing this and just letting you know that I, being young, have an ostomy, and it did change my life. So I like to advocate and let people know that it's not just for older folks. Lots of people younger have it too.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Do we have anybody here with Careers in Construction Month? I believe I saw it. Yeah, go ahead. Please come on up here. Let's get your proclamation. There you go. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And please say a few words.
Yeah, I want to echo and just say thanks to City of Coralville and the mayor for partnering with the Home Builder Association on this. Early on in the pandemic, construction was fortunate to be deemed essential, and so we've been lucky to continue working, continue building. But even before the pandemic, the construction industry as a whole just has seen a declining workforce, right? So at the national level, they say we're short 300,000 workers. So it's a hard number to wrap your mind around, but even at the local level, you see in every business across town, and construction is no different, right? We need more workers. And so just want to thank you for your partnership and kind of creating this awareness. We want to reach that next generation, kind of get at the junior high school, college levels, and get them engaged and aware of the opportunities that the construction industry has. So appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Thank you. In my day job, I'm the principal at West, and we're going to be having a career and college night soon. So we'll get you involved in that so you can talk about the opportunities.
Yeah, we'd love to do that.
Excellent.
Appreciate
Great. Thank you so much. And with our domestic violence program, prevention program.
I know that Megan's gonna want a picture.
Yeah, I am.
Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
My name is Alta. I'm the Director of Community Engagement for the Domestic Violence Intervention Program. I will say this is my third proclamation today. I have 4 this week. So thank you to all of you so much for supporting victim survivors within your community and within our county. We have had quite a dramatic and challenging year that has caused our advocates to need to pivot and change the way that we problem solve. Though with isolation, individuals were sort of staying at home with their abusers, with their perpetrators, we actually saw an increase in need for our services. Over the past year, and so these numbers are up to date as of July 1, which is when our fiscal year changes. In the city of Coralville alone, we served 189 individuals. Throughout Johnson County, we served 1,519 individuals. That is a doubling of the previous year. So though people were having more challenges in reaching out for our services, those numbers increased dramatically. Overall, we served over 2,000 individuals in our 8-county service region. Funding support keeps our advocates on the street and safety planning, creating solutions and finding resources. So the support from the city of Coralville as well as our other municipalities is absolutely vital to the work that we do. I did want to highlight a positive number because a lot of those are sad and hard numbers to take in. But there are 2 numbers that I'm extremely proud of our team for. The first is that 71% of those individuals we served were permanently housed. And as you know, with the challenges of finding affordable housing and the backgrounds of victim survivors, that is remarkable. So kudos to them for that. The other number that I always talk about when I come to visit you guys is the number of individuals that feel safer because of the work with our advocates. And we are proud to report this year it is 96% felt safer because of the work that we did with them in partnership. So thank you so much for supporting our advocates. I would be happy to answer any questions you have about those numbers I threw out before I move on to our events in October. All good?
I would like to thank you for this handout and
Yeah.
information that you gave us.
Absolutely. I have a great staff person that helped out with that. On the other side, you'll see some of the events that we have coming up in October. As you know, it is our big month. We only have 2 large events a year. Shop for Shelter is our largest in-kind donation drive. We will be at all area Hy-Vees as well as area fairways on October 23rd from 9:30 to 1:30 p.m. The goods that we receive at that event provide resources, in-kind food, donations, and all sorts of stuff for 9 months for victim survivors. So it is a large, large portion of what we have to provide people. If you would like to show your face and do some volunteering, we do have a link there listed on your handout of a way to volunteer too. So, and that would go for anyone listening today as well. They can visit our website and sign up. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Citizen, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Ellen, want a picture? All right. Citizen comments. Anybody in the audience, which looks like it's all staff?
Some of them.
Yeah. All right. Cheers. We will move on then to item 6, Redhawk Subdivision Part 3 public hearing. We'll take a community development report.
Thank you. Just want to report this is a current outlot. The developers identified a potential development. Lot will soon be sold, and they're requesting to plat what is currently outlot A. City staff has reviewed the plats and find that they do conform with the requirements for preparation and filing outlined in city code. That's all I have. Thank you.
Excellent. Any questions? And P&Z report.
The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this at their September 1st, 2021 meeting, and by a vote of 6-0, the commission recommended approval of the preliminary and final plat as presented.
Questions, comments on that? All right. Don, the resolution.
Resolution approving the preliminary plat for Redhawk Subdivision, Part 3, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Moved by Foster, second by Quinn. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wynn?
Aye.
Dodds? Goodrich?
Aye.
Foster?
Aye.
Gross?
Aye. Resolution passes unanimously. Item D, down the resolution.
Resolution approving the final plat for Redhawk Subdivision, Part 3, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Moved by Gross, seconded by Goodrich. Any discussion? Roll call.
Dodds? Goodrich?
Aye.
Foster?
Aye.
Gross?
Aye.
Wynn?
Aye.
Resolution passes unanimously. I should have said this was our Community Development Director, Dave Johnson, so thanks, Dave, for that
Oh,
report.
I could have introduced myself as well.
That's all right, that's all right. All right, item 7, Housing Code Agreement. On the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2021-1012, and ordinance amending Chapter 145 of the City of Coralville regarding the housing code, introduced for first consideration by Councilmember Wynn, seconded by.
Second.
Moved by Nguyen, seconded by Foster. Discussion.
I have a question.
Please.
I do too.
Go ahead.
Go,
Laura.
you can go and then we'll see.
I have a
Yeah.
paper.
You have a lot? Okay, this is, I got a little bit of information from Kevin earlier.
Okay.
The question that I have is the part that talks about that the state ruled that, that there doesn't have to be owner occupied for Airbnb for short stays, which we had, as a council, had made an ordinance about that, and so now that is done away with,
That
as
would
I
be correct.
understand.
Our local code also states that the owner should be on premise during the rental.
Right.
That also goes away.
So those two, on House File 2641 in the 2020 session, which was the bill right at the end, this was thrown in there. So basically, any unit that's in a residential zoning district can be used by a short-term rental. You're not supposed to charge any license or any license permit, anything like that for short-term rentals unless you also apply those rules to somebody else. So what we've done is we said, since anybody who rents property has to get a rental permit, we're saying the Airbnbs still have to get a rental permit. And then Airbnbs are still subject to paying hotel motel tax on top of that. So 2 of the 4 provisions we had in our ordinance were struck out, as I believe they are inconsistent with the state law the law that was passed in the 2020 session. So that's why that was removed.
Even in town, in state, you can live in Florida and have an Airbnb and.
So you can have under our rental permit ordinance, under the rental permits, if you don't live within 50 miles, you're supposed to have a local representative, which Airbnbs usually do have somebody who has to take care of the keys and all that anyways. But under the housing code, that is a requirement that we've had in place for a long time because we do have absentee landlords.
So our concern earlier was neighborhood, well-being and quality of life for neighborhoods.
Correct.
Is there, we had some problems with large homes being rented as Airbnbs without an owner or without them being occupied by someone responsible. And it made problems for the whole neighborhood and probably the police department and so on too, just regulating all of that. Is there anything that we can do to prevent disheveling our neighborhoods with Airbnb rentals?
As with a lot of things the legislature have done lately, probably no, unless they change the law back and give us some more power back. But that was thrown in there. We didn't even know it was at the end of the session bill, and it was like a surprise when it passed.
Yeah.
So I worked for 4 cities, and my cities, all of them had different rules, which are all out the window pretty much. So unfortunately, local control was taken away on that issue,
Yeah.
as it has been with a lot of issues lately.
I know people love Airbnbs, so I'm
Will it go
not
to a
against that.
4-year permit inspection along with other rental properties?
Maybe Dave can explain why we had some go to a 4. You want to explain the rationale behind that?
Sure. We noted that we had a very high percentage of initial inspections that were either failing the property owner didn't show up, or they were not prepared. In addition to reinspection fees, in those instances, we also wanted to come up with incentives. This being incentives, there's other communities in Iowa that have a very similar program. If you are ready and if your unit has a good operating history and you pass on your first inspection, you'll be able to move to a 4-year cycle instead of a 3-year cycle.
Is 3 and 4, I mean, is 4 years a standard amount of time? I just wondered, you know, is that frequent enough to ensure that the properties are being well maintained?
We believe so. It does not prevent us from visiting a property if we're given cause to.
Okay.
Should we receive a complaint, a phone call from a neighbor, a tenant, a property owner, we are still there and we're still doing our job in those cases. But again, if somebody has a good operating history, they show us that they are prepared and their unit is well maintained, they'll move to a 4-year inspection cycle. Another benefit to that is that will free up time for us to spend more time on property managers who may not be as good at managing property.
So there is still a mechanism if
Yes.
there are complaints that you
Oh,
could go back
absolutely.
in and,
Yeah.
okay.
Correct. We respond to every tenant resident complaint that we get, regardless of the where that property is in their inspection cycle.
And then I wanted to ask just about the applying for permits and what constitutes needing a permit. So what my kind of the main thing that my question is about is multi-generational households. So if you have a household where there are family members that, you know, maybe older parents that are living with a child, or, you know, children that are young adults living with the parent and they're paying rent, in those instances, do they need to apply for a permit?
No, that would be, you know, that would not qualify. They would still be one family unit.
Okay.
So I was a little concerned about, well, first my question was, what all do you check when you were there? But I thought that was too intense of a question, so I did go and look it up. So I read all that. And to me, that sounds a lot like being licensed, and these are the expectations to have. And so when I read that people don't show up or aren't prepared, seemed really unacceptable to me. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about, I saw that you had a permit fee, which I don't know what that is. I'm throwing too many questions in there. I see that there's also a reinspection fee. But what about, you know, a fine or something? You know, we're working so hard to bring quality, affordable housing to Coralville that I'm ready to draw a line with a black Sharpie when it comes to some of these rental properties that are really crummy. And so I wanted to know your thoughts on that, on specifically, you know, how long do they have to get it in order? What do you do if they don't show up? Is it 30 days? Is it 10 days? You know, what recourse do we have if they're not doing it correctly?
Sure. So it's a really good question. In the event that a property owner doesn't show up, we'll typically get that rescheduled within 2 weeks. If we make it out to 30 days, that's when we'll start considering code enforcement options in terms of failure to license the property or failure to get your inspections. We don't, this isn't meant to be absolutely punitive. This is really meant to be an incentive. That first inspection is part of your rental permit fee. A rental permit is $50. And the follow-up inspection is also free. That is your opportunity where you've met with staff, you've been on site, any sort of issues have been identified, and you're given an opportunity to correct that. And so when we come out and do a re-inspection, that inspection is also free. It is every inspection thereafter where we would have a re-inspection fee. And at this time, we are still discussing what exactly that amount will be, and that'll be presented to council in the form of a resolution later. But this is no different than how our building inspectors actually conduct their inspection program. If a contractor is not ready, present, and we need to come back out unnecessarily, we have a re-inspection fee of $50.
I would like to add one thing about the time frame, Jill, that we've had in the past, and even before Dave was here. We don't tolerate very long time frames on furnaces, water, things like that that are essential for that.
Right.
Fire extinguishers.
Yeah,
smoke
so,
detectors,
I mean,
locks on
Yeah,
doors.
we don't, that's one of the things it's not a set in stone time frame. If it's a furnace in the middle of winter, we're gonna have them do it immediately, stuff like that.
And Jill, my response was really in a situation where somebody may not be present for their annual or 3-year recertification. If we conduct an inspection and we find something that has to do with sanitation or something that poses an imminent threat to health, safety, those things get addressed immediately.
And in this ordinance, we also did reference, although we still have the power to do that if it's bad enough, we will have them vacate the property, and then the landlord's gonna have to figure out where they're gonna put them.
That was a question that I had on here too, was the vacate with the imminent threat, and who decides if it's an imminent threat, like
We
a
do.
furnace going out
We
would be an
do.
imminent
Right.
threat.
We
but-
do.
That would be the building official or their designee, so that would
Okay.
be either myself or Dawn.
And do you guys get to decide where that person resides in a safe space until that is rectified?
We would
I
be,
know it's at the owner's expense, but I wanted to make sure that that was
right, we would be part of that
habitable
decision.
too.
And typically relocations would happen in a hotel or motel
Okay,
for a temporary period of time.
okay, great, thank you.
Any other discussion?
The one thing to remember, back to your question, Lori, is that
Yeah.
if people need to check if they're in a condo association, some of those have rules against Airbnb. And so people need to check that, because we've had a couple of instances, because you can, as an association, you can regulate it yourself.
Okay, that's,
as the
the state
association.
allows,
Yes, and so there are places that have that in their covenants that you can't do that, and they are then in violation of their homeowners or the covenants for that.
how about neighborhood
Well, if you had a neighborhood
Organizations.
association,
associations?
That would have to be in your, I don't know how that would work, but that'd be something in your rules. And you gotta remember, the one thing about covenants are that the city is not,
Right.
is not the enforcing mechanism. The owners of the association are the ones that have to enforce that.
but we have
yeah.
had instances where people have done that.
Yeah.
Have enforced it, and
If you go back to the chicken ordinance, we said you have to check to make sure that your
Yeah.
covenants don't disallow having them in there before, because we will check that if somebody brings us an application to make sure that that's not part of their. 'cause we
Same
don't
can be
wanna-
said
'cause
for
we get
things like
invo-
fences
We don't
and
want to be
sheds.
involved, I mean, like I said, we can't enforce that. The other thing I will tell you about the Airbnbs is, since they do have a rental permit, we still have the 3 strikes ordinance in the rental permit, so
Okay.
if they're having noise problems or something like that, we can issue a strike letter that would, which would.
Would that pull their permit?
Yeah, and the problem with them is you can get away from a
Yes.
strike letter if you evict the tenant, but that's not an option in this case because you don't have a tenant that you're gonna be there long-term. So that would be another thing we can still do, so, but, like I said, unfortunately, I thought what we had was working pretty well, but I guess I haven't heard any issues since football started, so hopefully, cross our fingers. That keeps
This
it.
was already in effect, starting,
Yeah, I mean, we had to change, I just
Yeah.
waited to do this to change it because I would not have enforced those 2 provisions because they wouldn't have been legal to enforce.
Any other discussion? Good robust discussion. Yeah, Dave?
And no, I just want to thank City Council for your support. Appreciate it.
All right, roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Motion pass, or ordinance passes unanimously. And I'm assuming we'll keep the second and third at subsequent
Yep.
meetings, so excellent. Item 8. Don, the resolution, please.
Resolution accepting public improvements constructed on the IRL Parkview Phase 1, Coralville, Iowa, introduced by Councilmember Dodd, seconded by.
Second.
Moved by Dodd, seconded by Goodrich. Discussion. Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution passes unanimously. Item D, or 9, my goodness, item 9.
Resolution approving the quotation of Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield to provide health insurance coverage for city employees. It's introduced by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Moved by Goodrich, seconded by Dodd. Discussion.
Well,
I'd
I'd
We-
like to hear what Mike, our human resource person, has to say.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to give you some better news, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's a 14.2% increase recommended by Wellmark. Most of that had to do with our large claims, which, our history has been very good as far as our renewal increases. Nothing above 5% for the longest time. Last year was a little bit higher. Now this year, a large increase. They're expecting us to exceed 100% of our premium as far as claims paid. So that is a driving factor of this, obviously. Their book of business.
Are they large claims, or are they more claims?
The one that's driving, we've had more large claims, and large claims they consider 75,000 or above. But they said the multiple number of claims below 75,000 is a driving factor for us. So we have more people using it, which is good, getting treatments and so on and so forth. So their book of business is around 8 to 9%, and that would be a company or a group that's in about the 88% loss ratio. So like I said, we're in the 101% loss ratio, so that has a lot to do with it. Larger claims has a little bit to do with it. One thing that has come up, people ask, is it COVID related? Not so much COVID, mental health though, has increased. So that is one thing that we're looking at as well. The increase is covered by our budgeted amount, so that is good. So we don't have to move money around or figure out cost savings for this. So that was a good thing being done. And again, it's a huge investment and a great investment in our workforce and their families. So look at it as just a little more expensive investment, but still very worthwhile.
And Mike, I always like you to kind of talk about, because I don't think people realize, can you explain how the city handles premiums and for employees?
We offer our employees the single-family policy. That's for all of our full-time and regular part-time employees. And then if they want the family coverage, they pay $35 a month to have that.
Excellent. Appreciate that.
I think that's the only place in the United States, Mike, so we can be pretty
Well,
proud of that.
You guys are the ones who approve it and
Yep.
go with it, so we appreciate that.
But we appreciate our quality staff, and it's a good retention, I think.
I think that is a huge retention
Yep.
factor.
Also, maybe Hyatt was you or somebody else. I know a councilman brought up about council ever being included in that. Was anything done with that? About any research or?
We did send out to request information from other cities, and I haven't got all of them back, but I have got
Thanks.
some.
Thanks, Kelly. Any other questions, comments from Mike? Okay,
I'm
thanks.
just glad it covers mental health.
Yes, it does,
You
yeah.
know, I think I'm more than willing to pay the 14+% increase just because it does cover mental health, because that is such a crisis everywhere, and we do have a policy that does do that, so I'm grateful for that.
And that we budgeted it, so,
Yep,
all good, great. Thanks, Mike.
thanks, Mike.
Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution passes unanimously. I would consider a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented or amended.
Mayor Pro Tem Gross, I would ask the council to consider a motion to approve the consent calendar A through S inclusive.
Moved by Dodds,
Second.
second by Goodrich. Roll call.
Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye. Excellent. City Administrator's report. Kelly?
Yeah. First, I'd just like to have Scott Larson, our city engineer, report on the 380-80 interchange, because there's some closures coming up, and the community needs to know, as do all of us.
All right, City Engineer Scott Larson.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, I'm actually talking about 3 projects, not specifically 380. But if you have questions about 3A, I can try and answer those. So, but next week, we actually have 3 road disruptions coming up. The first one
But can you
is-
also, because we've got the closure going on
Ye-
for.
For 380?
extended- Yeah, for an
Yeah, so
extended period of time.
I think you probably saw the notice that the westbound 80 to southbound 218 ramp is closing for essentially the next 2 years. And during that time frame, that movement will be sent out west to Tiffin to the Ireland Avenue exit, which was also closed a couple of months ago, as you may recall. And then that traffic comes back to the new eastbound to southbound ramp that opened, I think, last year. So that's kind of a big disruption on 80, but it's another
How
big.
much time does it take?
That's
Because you're good at that.
oh, you
figuring
mean the
out how many
additional
more
travel
minutes.
time?
Yeah.
I don't know what I would guess probably another 5 minutes. You know,
Okay.
So you're talking 218 down to Mount Pleasant, right?
correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we take Camp Cardinal Boulevard,
You'll
and
miss
jump-
it.
Yes,
I can miss it?
that's a local bypass, sure.
That's
Yeah.
what you should do locally. That's why
Yes.
people need to know that, because it's a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
easier doing that than.
That's home to the parents, so I need to be able to get there quick,
Right.
so
Right.
I just would need to know my,
Right. So yeah, this is more impactful to people maybe traveling through the region,
sure.
trying to go to 218 to go south through Mount Pleasant or on to St. Louis. They will have that little, again, 5 to 10 minute detour out to Ireland Avenue and then back. So
Okay.
it's similar to what happened recently, you know, with I think the northbound 218 to westbound 80, where drivers had to go up to the new Forever Green interchange on 380 and come back south. So we're lucky it's not any farther than that. So, but again, that's about a 2-year process now as they start working on that particular ramp as part of the 8380 interchange. And let's see, that project is still, I think we're still looking at 2025 for ultimate completion on that. So any other questions on 8380? Okay, I'll jump to the local road disruptions coming up next week. So the first one is the Deer Creek Road Railroad Crossing. So this is just west of Lowe's, south of Highway 6. Deer Creek Road is the road that leads to Creekside Ballpark, Creekside Flow Cross Trail, and also the Altmeyer Family Park on the south end of Deer Creek Road. So over the summer, the Deer Creek Road Railroad Crossing itself, so these are the concrete panels that sit between the actual rails, really started to disintegrate. We had it on the watch list. The railroad company also had it on their watch list, but it really just deteriorated quick over the summer. So we didn't have much of a choice to repair it. So next Monday, starting in Monday morning, the railroad crossing in Deer Creek Road, immediately south of Highway 6, will be closed. And that closure will remain in place, we expect, until Friday afternoon or evening. So it will be completely closed, no access, vehicular access to anything on Deer Creek Road south of Highway 6. So that's one. The second one that's going to start on Monday is Heartland Drive between Jones Boulevard and Commerce Drive. So this is a project we actually awarded, I think, back in maybe even July. And we had slated that for completion last month, but there were delays with projects elsewhere, so the contractor is now able to get to that project. So come Monday, there will be no through traffic on Heartland Drive between Jones Boulevard and Commerce Drive. But the Commerce Heartland intersection, which is near the Costco gas station, that intersection will remain open at all times. So that's a project where we're going in and removing the old asphalt, putting down a new asphalt overlay, actually doing a little bit of shoulder widening as well, and taking the opportunity to do some full depth concrete patching at the same time. So that project we hope to reopen to traffic by Friday evening or Saturday morning at the latest. So that's the second project. And then the third one is scheduled for next Thursday, October 7th. And this is actually just an inspection of the Holiday Road Bridge immediately east of the 12th Avenue mini roundabout. So this requires having equipment on the bridge deck so that we can drill some core samples of the concrete and do some other tests of the bridge deck itself. And the way we're going to do it is Thursday morning at 8:30, we will close westbound Holiday Road approaching that bridge. Eastbound, so coming out of the mini roundabout heading east on Holiday Road, will remain open at all times. And so anybody coming westbound approaching the mini roundabout will actually, if they come up First Avenue, they're going to see detour message boards out by the Firefighters Memorial. Or if you're coming south out of, say, North Liberty on First Avenue, you'll encounter a digital message board as you near the Brown Deer Golf Course. So you can turn and go west on Oakdale Boulevard back over to 12th.
What was the dates on that one again?
That one is only Thursday, October 7th. The westbound closure on Holiday Road starts at 8:30 a.m. And we fully intend to be out of there by 1:30 in the afternoon because that is an early out day for school. So again, next Thursday from 8:30 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon, westbound Holiday Road will not be able to get to 12th Avenue directly. You either take First Avenue to Oakdale Boulevard, or if you miss those, or if you live in those immediate neighborhoods, there's going to be a detour using Oak Lake Park Road, Red Oak Drive, Timber Hills Drive, Timber Lane.
And you don't think that will impact school traffic to school?
No, that's why we're starting at 8:30.
But school starts at 8:50 for secondary. So that's what I'm concerned about. That's like prime commute time.
Yeah,
to
we
get to
talked
school.
with the school bus service, and that's why we set the 8:30.
Yeah, wait, so you're right, so they run back-to-back routes. So the second, or the elementary route would be what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
Bus was still running then.
yeah,
right, I'm just worried about all the high school and junior high drivers and those families and.
yeah.
So if they start at 9,
Nine.
they have picked everybody up
Yeah.
then?
No.
Yeah, we can look at pushing it to 9
If
o'clock.
you could do 9, just think it could be, because
Yeah.
it just seems that there's a big
Yep.
push there, so.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
I think we can manage that.
Yeah. And Scott, will all these information be available for the public to
Yes.
to look at somewhere
wanted
on
to-
our website?
I wanted to mention that tonight, that tomorrow you will see press releases on all three. And so,
I also noticed at 965, when you split over by Hills and Hy-Vee, on the way to North Liberty, Ranshaw is closed and they detour you down either to Jones Boulevard or over to Front Street. Does that make sense?
yes. Yeah, that's North Liberty's Rancho Way project.
Maybe that's been going on, but it's the first time I'd seen it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been closed. Rancho Way has been closed for
Oh, so I'm
several weeks now.
some kind of clueless about driving. Okay.
Yeah, and we've
Once you get used to that number 2 exit to, instead of having to go to 4 to get on the
Yeah.
interstate, I never pay any attention.
Yeah, and we fielded some complaints about traffic congestion up there at peak times, but so far from what we're hearing from the North Liberty staff is that closure portion of their project is on schedule or scheduled to be open a little bit earlier. So right now we're looking at early to mid-November for that to clear up, so.
And Scott, is the bridge inspection just an annual or a regularly scheduled thing, or is there
Well,
a concern, or?
Yeah, and I should have mentioned too, with the Deer Creek Road Railroad crossing, because the road's gonna be completely closed, we're actually taking the opportunity to have a bridge engineer do a much more thorough inspection of that bridge deck as well. We typically do bridge inspections every 2 years, it's required. What we're doing with these additional inspections, even drilling core samples into the bridge deck, that was something that was recommended during the last inspection and just had not been completed yet. So, and what this will tell us is really what is the condition of the bridge deck, what's the anticipated lifespan, how soon will we maybe need to budget for doing a surface overlay at a minimum. And then obviously if something is really serious, it'll tell us, okay, when do we need to be budgeting for replacing the bridge? So should give us good information.
And this is the bridge that goes over the train, right?
On Holiday Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes over Crandick Railroad.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott, appreciate it.
And just remind folks that next week is Mayor's Cleanup Week, and then there's the extra pickup on Friday and Monday, depending on where you live. So you can put your trash can out an extra day for those 2 days, Monday or Friday or Monday, depending on where you live. And then your regular day next week is Mayor's Cleanup Day. So
If you have two, you get to put out both on your extra day or just one?
if you have both,
If you have two cans.
2 cans, then you can put both cans out, yeah. Yep. And there's not very many people that have 2 cans.
Well, I'm a family of 14.
Yes. And just today, we got to use for the first time the ice at Extreme Arena. They have put the ice in for the first time, and now that ice will stay until next April. And we've got events coming up using the ice on the 8th of October, and then on the 22nd of October is the first Heartlanders game. So encourage people to check that out.
Great, thanks, Kelly. Mayor's report, I think I'll start off, first of all, obviously you've noticed Mayor Lindell is not here, and I talked with Mayor Lindell, and he was fine with me to share this, that the mayor had surgery last week. Late in the summer, the mayor was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and the mayor had surgery last week for that. The surgery was successful, and the mayor is going to be spending the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks recuperating and recovering. So we obviously send our very, very best wishes, prayers, and thoughts and vibes to Mayor Lindell and to get him back as soon as possible. So best wishes to you, Mayor Lindell.
Mitch?
Yes.
It's also his birthday today.
Yeah.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Yep, we were all gonna kind of do a happy birthday thing out to John.
All right. Happy birthday, Mayor.
Birthday.
Cheers. Thanks, Lori. And Kelly, this might seem as a goofy question, but I'm just going to ask. I feel like I should know this, but because I had some questions on this, so I want to make sure I'm clear with people. Are the buildings in the IRL and the arena, and for example, the Hyatt, are those city-owned buildings? And the reason I'm asking, I had some questions about masks. So we have a mask mandate in city-owned buildings, correct? Or city government? What's the difference there? 'Cause
Those are operated by other entity other than the city. And so the Extreme Arena and the Field House are owned by a nonprofit corporation, and then they're even operated by a separate corporation, and then the same with the Hyatt, so both of those. We also, at the Brown Deer, we have another entity operating the upstairs ballroom, and so they set those based on the request of the individual renting those facilities.
Okay, so the ordinance or the resolution that the mayor put forth does not necessarily
It's
apply directly to
right.
those. So if you walk
If-
into a store in the IRL or Trader Joe's, or
Exactly.
just want to clear that. The second thing I just want to say, kind of on the similar note, I was at a wedding this past weekend, and there was this woman ended up being a city planner for the city of New York, and I was at a brunch at Marquee, and she came up to me and found out my city role, and asked if I would give her a walking tour. And she said, I've been a city planner for New York City for about 17 years, and this might be the coolest development I've ever seen in my years of developing. Just couldn't believe we walked all the way past the Marriott or the Hyatt and all that. So I just want to pass that along that the IRL caught the eye of the New York City planner. That is all I have. Don and Kevin, always entertaining and informative.
I would unfortunately report a personal high for me this morning, a conviction for speeding 78 miles an hour by Perkins on First Avenue. Yeah.
He was mad because he didn't get a deal from me.
That's all I have. Thank you.
I've got nothing.
Okay. That's, yeah.
That is a personal best, Don.
Pardon?
That's a personal best, I would think.
The highest that I've had,
Right.
yes.
And just to make the record clear, it was not you, Don, correct? Okay.
What's the penalty for that, Don?
Well, as a Texas driver, had a Texas license, a driver's license, so I assume since he was very upset about the whole situation that he's gonna lose his license.
Yeah, you get to lose your license, and it's so much per mile an hour over 25 miles an hour. You'd have to use a calculator to get that one out.
That's nuts.
It's gonna be a long bus ride back to Texas.
Yeah.
All right, we'll just go kind of down the list here. Lori?
Oh, thank you. It's been 2 weeks since we were together, and we had the Iowa League of Cities conference here, and we were proud to show off our town, just as you were talking about. And I want to send a thank you to the Iowa League of Cities staff in Des Moines and our local staff too for putting on such a nice conference. And we had a lot of good information put out, and it was a great couple days to be involved in that. Went ice skating on the at the arena, and again, it's the Heartlanders, and the store is open there, and you can buy t-shirts and scarves and all that kind of stuff to support our local Heartlanders hockey team. And congratulations to Tavern Blue, which opened and had a ribbon cutting a couple days ago here in Coralville. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. It's two quick things. I can't remember the player's name, but I saw a Hawkeye football player was interviewed with the Heartlands shirt on, which was kind of neat when he was being interviewed after for a thing. And also, Lori mentioned the Iowa League of Cities. Our mayor, Mayor Lindell, was also.
Don't blow my
Oh,
top.
my bad. Sorry. I don't want to steal your thunder. Go ahead, Councilwoman Dodds.
Well, in addition to saying happy birthday to John Lindell, our mayor was inducted into the Hall of Fame that night, and we were all present to cheer him on and take a big group picture. It was kind of fun. We were very, very proud that he was able to be a big part of that and that we all shared it with him. So that was fun. Let's see. Then last night was Parks and Rec, and to keep on Mitch's discussion about our cool community, we took a walking tour up 5th Street, and as you know, we did the Reimagine 5th up to a certain point, and we're starting to reimagine the next section now. So I will be sharing that with a lot of you. We'll be getting some input from the public and starting to plan some new and fun and exciting things for that too. So.
Good.
Oh, and we had some guests who want more pickleball courts, so you need to start protecting your tennis as well as you can because pickleball is coming in by storm.
Excellent. Wonderful.
That's it.
All right. Councilor Wynn.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind the public that we have a nonprofit organization here in our city called Houses into Home. So coming up to Mayor Cleanup Day, if you have any items, household item that is usable, please give Houses into Home a call. They do have a pickup, like a vehicle, a big truck. I'll be more than happy to come pick up your big furniture, bed, dresser, whatever that is, still in working condition. They are in need of beds right now. So if you have those to spare, please give them instead of put them out on the curb to end up in our landfill.
Hey, do you know if they happen to do like a donation voucher for people or something like that to encourage them to maybe make that extra step instead of just dragging it to the end of the drive?
I'm not aware of any voucher. They are pretty new, and I think they came to our city like maybe a year ago. But they are more than happy to drive to your place and help carry your stuff out, so you don't even have to do anything.
wondering, Megan, maybe you can help with, you know, you have your nice DVIP one or something, maybe could help them have a form or something like that to encourage people to donate instead of just dropping it off to the landfill.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Just try your best to keep things off of the landfill, especially if they are still in useful condition. And we have the, I'm the liaison for the Art Commission, and we have our annual meeting today at the I can never remember, CCPA. One community member attended, which is, pretty good because of COVID and all. But Evan reported that they are back in full swing, so I encourage the public to check out their program and attend a lot of shows that they have been working hard to fill for the year. That's all I have.
Great, thank you, Councilor Huynh. And finally, Councilor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just wanted to echo everyone wishing goodwill and healing to Mayor Lundell. Also, a happy birthday to him and congratulations on his honor at the League of Cities Conference. It is well deserved. He's been very involved with the Iowa League of Cities for many years. He served as president a few years ago as well. I also would be interested in getting an update sometime on our Police Community Review Board, just to get a sense of where we're at with that. And just, I know that it is fairly new and we're still figuring some things out, but I'd love to, just hear an update on that to make sure that we are on the right track. So that would be great to hear about that in the next couple of meetings or whenever we can get that on the schedule. And obviously, I just wanted to take a moment to thank the city for recognizing Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Obviously, this is something that is very important to me, working for the Domestic Violence Intervention Program. I have to say, I started working for DVIP 6 months ago, and prior to that, I was on the board of directors for about 3 years. And when I joined the staff, I thought that I knew a fair amount about, the dynamics, the complicated cultural, structural, and systemic issues that contribute to domestic violence, but I was not prepared for a lot of the things that I have seen and the things that I have seen victims experience in the last 6 months. And I think, one of the things that really jumped out at me during the proclamation was that line about the inspiration, the courage, and the persistence of victim survivors. And I am here to tell you that victim survivors are incredibly courageous. And, if you think about what victims go through, your home is supposed to be the place where you are feel the most safe, where you feel the most supported, where you feel the most nurtured and cared for. And the people that you are in intimate, close relationships with are the people that are supposed to support you and be there for you, and they're the people that you are supposed to trust. And so when your home is a source of chaos and violence and trauma and torture, and the people that are supposed to be the ones that care for you the most are the ones inflicting that violence on you, it takes a tremendous amount of strength to live in that situation, let alone to find the courage and the strength to leave. So I just want to say to victims that, we are here for you, we support you, we believe you, and if you need us, we are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We do not ever close. We don't close for holidays. We don't close over the weekend. We don't close for evenings. We are always open. Our hotline is 1-800-373-1043. And our hotline is not just for people who are in crisis. So even if you have questions, if you're wondering, about your situation, or if you have a friend or a family member that you're worried about, you can always call us, and we'll be there for you to help answer your questions. I also wanted to just talk a little bit about some of the other events. Alta mentioned some of the big events that we have coming up for DVAM. I wanted to talk a little bit about an event that we have coming up on October 8th. We'll be going live for every hour on the hour for 8 hours. And we're going to be talking about 8 reasons to support survivors. And the reason we chose October 8th is to highlight the fact that there are only 8 domestic violence shelters left in the entire state of Iowa. The one in Iowa City is only one of 8 in the whole state. So be sure that you are tuning in for that. We also have media displays up at our local libraries, including the Coralville Public Library. And we're going to have a scavenger hunt, a poster scavenger hunt around town. So be on the lookout for our posters at various community locations. Snap a picture, use the hashtag DVAM2021, and you'll be entered for a chance to win a prize package with DVIP swag. So again, just thank you to everyone for your support of victim survivors in our community, and thank you to all of you for your support as well. And that is all I have.
Great. Thank you, Megan. Thank you for your great work with that organization as well.
Mr. Mayor, I should have mentioned that the conviction this morning took place because of the excellent preparation and presentation by Coralville Police Officer Tim Yoder. So he gets the credit along with it.
And the chief informed me that just the fine part of that is $400 for doing that. In normal speed, you can get a $25 ticket.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for the great work, Officer Yoder. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Dodd, second by Foster. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.